Good evening. This is a meeting of the Finance Committee for Board of Education. Today is Wednesday, August 20th, and it is 6:31 p.m. I'm Jeff Perez, Committee Chair. In attendance, we have committee members, Willie Medina, Maritza Estremera Jimenez, board members Albert Benahan. Line, we have board members Andre Woodson, Joseph Sokolovic. That's all for board members online. The first item on the agenda is the approval of the meeting minutes from the special meeting June 4th, 2025.
So move.
Moved by Mr. Medina. Second. And seconded by Ms. Estremera Jimenez. Any discussion on that?
See you.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Alrighty. Moving on, that passes. The next item is referral to the full board, the Bridgeport Adult Education Lease Agreement Renewal at 418 Cassuth Street. Dr. Nicola.
Good evening, everyone. I could handle it. This is a renewal of the Adult Education Center where they're located. It was owned by the district, by the Catholic Church. So this has been vetted by the city attorney's office. So they went through the whole logistics of it just to make sure that the district is immune or safe from liability. It's a 3-year extension of lease, fiscal year 2026, 2027, 2028, with a 3% annual increase each year, which to me is moderate for a commercial business. Reasonable.
Do you have any questions for Ms. Nicole? Or the lease?
No.
Ms. Estremera Jimenez.
I have, it's not so much a question as it is a comment. Back in March, I had requested for consideration language to contracts to help mitigate potential liability in situations where, you know, we might have to cut. And I had provided that information or that language to Danielle, and I thought that language was getting added to all the contracts. And in addition to that, also the chair's signature so that all contracts are valid and fully executed upon the chair of the board's signature. And I don't see either of those
I
two.
think that would have to go through a policy.
If I may clarify as to what your concern is. That's why this is being brought before the finance committee, is being brought before the board. So the board ratifying it, or the finance committee ratifying the lease with the minutes, and the board ratifying the lease with the minutes is authentic as anything. As good as, if not better than individual signing. Board members sign.
So
It's a full board approval or full committee approval. Also, with the full board approval, with a copy of the entire lease agreement sent to the board in advance.
So I appreciate that, but that language is specific if we need to cut big cuts and we need to get out of a contract, it would allow us to do that without suffering any type of financial situations.
Well, true, Madam Chair. Again, the adult ed is being funded by the state grant, 100%. So there's no district money. If you cut, the money has to be spent in adult ed again. The question becomes, where are they going to, what location are they going to be to educate these children? Adults, I'm sorry. Not children, adults or students. So it's 100% funded by adult education grant from the state and Connecticut. There's no district money involved. It's a payment of this agreement.
Through Chair, let me explain about. I think what she's trying to say is making sure that there's, again, that's why most of these contracts or all contracts moving forward are going to be vetted by our attorneys, you know, and they are the ones who are going to justify and make sure that legally we have that out clause. And when we sent a couple of other contracts to city attorneys, that was the only reason we were able to get out of it, because they put language in it from an attorney standpoint. I'm not an attorney. I can't draft that kind of language, but that's why we're doing that moving forward so that we have the ability to get out, in any circumstances. So not every single contract that we're going to create is going to have, specific language about if we have financial, issues in the district, we need to be able to get out of the clause. Some companies won't negotiate that when you trying to bargain with them or when you try to negotiate the contract with them. So again, this has been sent to the attorneys for that purpose to make sure that I don't know what the out clause is
Message.
in this particular instance, but I know when all the contracts that we're doing goes to the attorney's office to vet just that. Again, I don't know exactly the terms of that and the specifics in the contract, but I think we're able to get out if there's an issue that both parties agree upon.
Okay, that makes me feel a little bit better. And then in terms of grants, so let's say things are unpredictable these days. What if all of a sudden, we don't get a grant, but we have a contract that's 2 or 3 years out? Our contracts such as this one that are grant driven, will that language also be on those contracts? Because I think that kind of helps safeguard us.
I'm thinking with this particular, if I'm, correct me if I'm wrong, Nestor, the adult ed grant I think is a 3-year grant. And I think Hannah may be online.
No, okay, I don't know.
Hannah, are you on?
Yes, I'm here. Yep, I'm here. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, ma'am. What is the length of this particular grant that this is being funded out of?
I can look it up for you briefly.
Okay.
I have to log into the system, so it'll take me maybe about 4 or 5 minutes.
Okay, so
Yeah, we can cut that.
Hannah, when you have the answer, if you could just throw your hand up, I'll call on you.
Okay, that sounds good. Thank you.
Mr. Medina,
No, go ahead, move on, Joe, please.
Mrs. Calvin?
Read this again.
Yes, thank you. Mr. Unquo, through you, Madam Chair. What percentage did you say it escalates every year?
3%.
3?
Yeah, 3%,
Okay,
yes.
all right, thank you. My ears were off. I thought I heard 20 and I was gonna freak out.
Come on, man.
Thank you. That's all I got. Thanks.
I wouldn't bring it before the committee, but they go 5%. I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Mr. Benahan?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have some question because I know I was there in that building years back. Question, I don't know, Dr. Avery or Mr. Nestor, the parking lot. The parking lot at that place is terrible to walk. It's very bad. I'm talking about terrible. If you don't see you don't see the floor, you can feel out. But I'm talking holes, it's very bad. That's one. I know they will talk another place. I know they checked first the one in 100 Lafayette. It was the top of the floor, but they decided not to because a lot of parents that was planning for another country, the FBI department did this too. So they decided not to do it. And then we checked the one in Middle Street behind the hotel that we closed in downtown Holiday behind. It was another thing. I know I went to see the former superintendent. It was beautiful. It was nice. I don't know with that. I don't know what happened, but that didn't change. I know they had some issue, the handicap issue in that building. Terrible. Somebody had to ask me out there, they can't take that stairs, the floor is very bad. Person like a wheelchair or walker is bad. And I know some repair had to be in the building. The last time they spoke and talked that the person in charge of the place is not gonna be in charge to repair anything, had to be BOE. I know all that stuff stand by. I don't know what happened. I don't know if you can give it an answer. Maybe when you get a chance, you can figure it out, another thing, because that sits top. I can send it to you and figure it out what's going on.
You can do that. And through the chair, I think that would be helpful, Albert, for me, because I don't know the details behind previously what was considered. And Nestor, is there anything in that It talks about the facility and the upgrade of the facility and all that. I'm not 100% sure. In March, if you may be able to get Lynn Stevens online, if you have her number to get her to see if she can jump online, that she may be able to give us a little bit better viewpoint on that as well.
True, Madam Chair. I mean, knowing a little bit about real estate or leases, this is a very good lease, commercial lease. It's not a triple net lease. Triple net lease is whereby you pay the rent, you pay the water bill, you pay the sewer bill, you pay the tax. That's triple net lease. This just pay flat rent. So it's a very wonderful commercial lease. Well, the church is exempt from paying taxes. Plus, there's no separate meter, so they have to pay the entire water bill and the sewer. So, I mean, to me, I don't see any, and there's no bridge here of breaching a lease to fully account. That's why they made, again, I'm not a lawyer, that's why they kind of broke it down with each annual year renewal. So if you can't afford it, I don't think the Catholic Church or the church is going to sue the district. It does not even have a late payment plan. I mean, this is, you're asking a very straightforward lease. Commercial lease.
I'll go with Hannah, just to answer the question.
Thank you.
Yes,
Dr. Whitfield?
yes, thank you. Yes, thank you. Before I say, Nestor, could you confirm to me, is this lease paid for with adult ed PEP or is it just regular adult ed?
Hannah, could you answer, because I know it pays with a grant.
That was
Okay.
Hannah.
All right.
Oh,
I asked to answer the question. So the district receives 2 adult education grants. One is called State Adult Ed. That grant is a 1-year grant. The second adult education grant that the district receives is through federal monies, and that's called Adult Ed PEP, PEP. That second grant, Adult Ed PEP, which stands for Program Enhancement Projects, is a 3-year grant. So depending on which specific grant this lease is saying it's being funded through, if it is the state adult ed grant, that is a 1-year grant. If it is adult ed PEP, PEP, that is a 3-year grant.
Good chair. Lynn Stevens is getting ready to jump online, so she's the director of that, so she should be coming on any minute now. Make sure she gets a minute in. Hey Sam, can you email Lynn the link to this meeting?
Who's this?
Lynn Stevens?
Chair.
Yes.
Thank you. Nestor, if you don't mind, why is it continuing to be called an amendment and not just a renewal of lease? Because it can say, amendment.
True, Madam Chair. Honestly, I'm not a lawyer. That's the language the lawyers use. They call it amendment because something could have been added or changed. One word is an amendment. The renewal is nothing changed. No single word changed. So
Okay.
you're reading the way it was original. They could have added one word change.
Thank you. To the chair still, on line number 3, on letter C, it talks about a Polish language school event on or before December 31, 2025.
Mhm.
I think we're in 2025 right now. That says 2024. So I want to make sure that the dates are correct, because that date already passed. So I don't know, if there's another event on the following year in 2020, this year, or the 26th, or the 20th. See that there?
Yes, okay. What I understand is that they allow the police group or team to have an event in 2024. So they're basically giving them the opportunity to have that one more, to have the same event like it happened in 2024 in next year, which is fiscal is coming December. But they're only going to pay $1
To have the event. To have the event?
to have the event. So they will only pay one, the Polish Society will only pay $1 for having that event. So there was an event that they had in they allowed the Polish Society to have in December 2024. If you read it further, when you flip over, from what I understand, it's saying the same type of allowance will be applied to the annual fundraising event in the future.
That's for the amendment piece of it.
Right. I know the city attorney, they went back and she went back and forth with tenants, like 4 or 5 different, they couldn't agree. Oh, well, fine, they agree. At some point they agree.
You know, the reason why I'm asking the question is it should say 2025. That's my whole point, and nobody's focused that should say 2025, and then the following year will be 2026, and then the following year will be 2027 per the contract. Because it does say that it's going to continue, but you can't say that this contract has been, for me, vetted in a way that, you know, somebody didn't notice that it's talking about an event that happened already in 2024. And I just want to make sure that, you know, that gets changed, updated, because I understand that it's happening every year according to this, because that isn't statement later on in D. But I just want to make sure that that gets fixed that way.
Again, they're referring to the Polish event that happened in 2024. They're referring to the event that happened in 2024. And if you flip it over, it's saying that same event that happened in 2024 will be allowed 1 year after.
And every year after, that's what it said.
Okay.
If you're reading it, it's D. If you want to read it,
Okay.
give her, it's in D.
Working at its own discretion, but with the landlord's consent, to host one fundraising event. We add a tenant. The Police Society is not a tenant.
I know, and then it says, in the remaining 2 years of the lease amendment term, the parties will meet and confer that this event is going to happen in every consecutive year of the contract.
Right.
So that's what I'm saying. So this one should say, in my understanding of contract, should state December 31st, 2025, basically event onward.
Oh, so it's saying that the event happened already, so in the future, the events just like that will happen again.
That's,
So it's not saying that that's the date of the
right.
event.
It's not saying that the date of the
That's the day of the event that happened last year.
They are referring to the event that happened December 2024. That this list will allow the same event to happen in the future year. That's the way I'm reading it.
The original contract was 2023. They did an extension in 2024, another one this year.
Exactly, which ended in July 1st of 2024.
Yeah, so C is just saying that in 2024, they had. this
Then
event, and
this
then
one
D is
ended-
saying that D is saying that it's gonna continue the event.
Well, again, the contract that they had in 2023 ended, and then another one started July 1st, 2024. And now this contract that we're talking about, that we're trying to amend to add, ended in June 30th, 2025.
Yeah, so
Does this contract can't talk about things that happened in the last contract? It should be talking about things that are
it
moving forward.
is. It is.
Okay.
Because that.
If you guys are happy, I'm okay. I know I'm in the record to ask a question that will.
No, I'm just saying,
And
let me
right.
clarify for you that, the letter C is saying that in 2024, this event happened.
Mhm.
And D is saying that basically in future years, that's similarly to the 2024 event, we're gonna continue those events.
And it's allowed in the lease. At the price of $1. Rent.
Hey, Lynn, you wanna add value to that conversation? And we got some additional questions for you as well.
Sure, absolutely. I mean, I agree with Mr. Nikwo that that's the intent of the agreement is that they're referring back to the prior contract and then indicating it for this year and the 2 following years. I do understand how that does appear a little bit confusing, Mr. Medina, but I think that's the intent.
The other question was, which adult ed grant funding source are you using to pay for this particular lease this go around? It's a 3-year lease. The only grant you have is the federal grant. Are you paying it from that funding source instead of the 1-year state grant? How's that gonna work?
No, this gets paid out of the state grant, the lease. It's the ED 244. The federal grant is a very small grant that's only for supplemental activities to support students.
Now, is this particular grant a guaranteed grant every year by the state? I think it's been for a while now. So you're gonna have the funding source that's gonna be a continuous funding source for adult ed moving forward as well, correct?
Correct. It's guaranteed. The amount can change from year to year. However, it is something that I budget for and would be a priority within the grant.
Right, and this is one of the allowable resources that you could, purchase with the grant. Am I correct?
Yes, absolutely.
Yes.
I guess my only comment is if the language is to safeguard us from, let's say, something happening where money does get taken out, or let's say the grant dollars fluctuate from year to year. What if 1 year we don't get the amount to cover this contract? What's the harm in having the language anyways? That's all. It's just a comment.
I mean, I'm happy to respond. It is a very large grant. It's a $4.8 million grant. So the way that I view it when I'm doing the budgeting is I certainly prioritize for those things that are necessity, one of which being the building. So I would always ensure that that's a priority from year to year. Even if our grant funds were decreased, they would not be decreased to the amount that I couldn't cover the rent.
My last comment, so the $4.8 million is over a 3-year period. And, okay, and this contract
Every year.
every year.
Mhm.
But this contract is through 2027.
That's right. But it's $159,000 the first year of the renewal.
Right, so there's a sufficient,
Well, I mean, it's pretty much it. The way I look at it, the last thing that will go, if you ask me, is the space where they're renting. That's the very last thing that they cannot afford, or else the entire program wouldn't be existing.
Sure, I think the other piece that I want the board to, the commercial space in the city of Bridgeport is very limited. And so if you snooze, you lose, and you won't have a place to provide this particular service for our families in the district. So again, I feel very confident in saying that the attorneys have vetted the contract. Mrs. Stevens has, pretty much verified that the funding will be there. It's a matter of just making sure that moving forward, we will look at that, and I will make sure that we can, when my staff sends this to the attorneys, we need to make sure there's an out clause that for whatever reason there may be, regardless of unforeseen circumstances across whatever spectrums, we have an ability to get out of the contract. And I can tell you, most attorneys that are doing these things for the districts, you have an out clause. When we did the relay contract, we didn't even know we had an out clause, but she said, I created that just for the purpose of us backing out. And it worked to our advantage for almost $1 million. So that's what we pay them to do. I'm not an attorney, so I'm not going to advise the board not to do that. But I can tell you, we moving forward, we will make sure that is an important piece because the boards, you guys are wanting that. I think
Yeah.
being great stewards of taxpayers' money is a huge piece. And we learned that with the audit, right? And so we're gonna make sure, we're gonna do everything to make sure that that is. And so when we meet, we'll talk a little bit about that, Nestor, and we'll make sure that the reassurance is not only with us, but you guys are gonna get that reassurance as well.
And sorry to like keep harping on this and being such a pain in the butt about it, but the way I look at it and just kind of so you understand my perspective is that God forbid, we have to get out of a contract. Now we're getting sued for $1 million or whatever, you know, it's $1 million less in the classroom. So that's kind of where I'm seeing it from.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yep, so,
Thank you, Madam Chair. I know, next you talk about the contract, and it's good and everything, but I believe, Ms. Lynn, still, you was there, and I believe you know I'm exactly, because I'm worried about what that I said. And I don't feel, I know, Dr. Ray, you knew, I'm gonna send you information, you will figure it out. But one of the things is, like, one of the big issue, everything is the issue, but one of the things is the handicap, the parking lot, and repair the building, because I still remember that they say the church would not cover nothing like that, and there don't have to be a document about that. So I don't want later to come on the bill that can publication have to fix the stairs, the boiler, the water, the pipe, or anything. And the handicap issues is very important. That Ms. Serena said, we don't want that get something happen and we'll get, you know, we get something like that. Or in the parking lot, anybody can twist the leg, the foot or everything, and who's gonna pay? That's my big question. So I don't know, Ms. Lane was part of that, and then we talk about that. So I don't know, Ms. Davis.
Ms. Davis, can you stress on that a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. So, and I apologize, somebody walked into my office, so I think I caught all of it, but please, you know, feel free to ask questions if I don't cover it. In terms of any expenses and who would be responsible for the expenses, it's my understanding that any large expenses would be covered by St. Michael's. This is what I was told by my predecessor. Small expenses the district is covering, so painting, we just had some flooring replaced, minor leaks. We had the boiler repaired. All of that has been covered by the district. However, I did hear that larger expenses would be covered by St. Michael's. I've never experienced that though.
Yes.
Ms. Lynn, they don't give us like a list what the church they have to pay and what the church, you know, so we can know, we can have that, you know, black to white, just in case something happens. When they say, oh, you have to fix it, we don't have a, you know, no, it's not in our list, you know, what BOE is responsible and what is not.
No, and I think, Mr. Benahan, you bring up a very good point. That's been something that I think should be clarified, because it could happen at any time, right?
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Yeah.
And please share. Hey, Leanne, do you have a good relationship with them? If there's an issue, you guys kind of get together and resolve who's gonna do what on that? Is that pretty standard for you guys?
No, actually, my only communication with St. Michael's has really been around the lease. Everything else has been handled maintenance-wise or facility-wise within district. But I do have a relationship with them, and I do, you know, we do communicate regularly. Yes, Mr. Medina.
Thank you. I just want to make sure you didn't get, I know you said somebody walked in your office. So one of the points that Albert was trying to make and was about the parking lot.
Yeah.
I know that it hasn't been maintained and we were concerned about if somebody kind of like twisted their ankle or falls down, like who's gonna be liable or who are they gonna go after when it comes to that? And another one was regarding the access or for handicap access into the building. That if something happens because we don't have the proper access, that who would that fall under in a sense? And I would think that would be insurance, but I'll let you answer that.
Yeah, absolutely. In terms of handicap accessibility, because we have the two different locations, we are able to refer anybody to our nighttime program at Central High School. So we're not handicap accessible at 418 Sioux Street, and that's why they come to Central High School. In terms of the liability piece of it, it is a shared parking lot. So we do share it with St. Michael's. They have regular attendees as well at that program. If there was somebody to fall in the parking lot, I'll be honest with you, I don't know. I don't have the answer to that one. We'd have to do some research on that.
Yeah, with what you said, I believe this probably belongs to them as an entity, St. Michael's most likely.
And that's part of the insurance that we have to pay as we lease, just like we will do the same for, people that lease our building as well. We require a certain amount of the insurance, just in case there's an injury somewhere in between all that as well.
Are there any further questions? Is there a motion?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve, to report to the full board, of the Bridgeport Adult Education Lease Agreement Renewal at 418 Cassuth Street.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that passes. Thank you, Ms. Stevens.
Thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome.
The next item on the agenda is referral to the full board, the fiscal year 25-26 Family Resource Center grant application to the State Department of Education for Cesar Bartalia School, Dunbar School, and Roosevelt School.
So, for Madam Chair, this is a grant that the district applied for to cover the three centers on the two schools that you indicated. I don't know, I guess what the Family Resource Center covers or what they do. What would be package?
We have it in the packet.
I'm sure you're familiar with what they do. So it's basically a renewal. Each of the schools will get equal amount of $113,000, 363. So you divided equitably among the three sides of school. The grant application, we're just looking for the committee and the board to approve. To be very honest with you, we had already applied. There was a deadline, or there was a deadline to grant application. We put in the application knowing, I don't see how the board will
Deny it.
deny it. I've been honest with everyone here. It's either we wait and wait for the board to approve it or then we miss the deadline. So just being upfront.
And this was new from the state, like a new
Yes.
requirement.
It is, so that's just being clear with everyone as to what we have to make. Put it in management decision. And I don't see it, I don't see anything wrong with that. But I'm gonna roll them hands and
Question from committee members?
Yes, you said it was 113K per school?
yeah, $111,363 each.
Per. Thank you. I just want to make sure that I didn't get that because I was trying to find that number.
Mhm.
Thank you. It's just obviously 2-page document.
I know.
Any other questions? Any questions from other board members?
No,
Go ahead, Mr. Chairman.
I had the question, Mr. McCall has basically answered it, which is why we're doing all these things sort of after a number of these things, and I understand the state's changed its practice and wants board approval. Is that unique to us?
No.
No,
I think, through the chair, I think one of the things that the state's doing too, they have to be fiscal responsible for what they divvy out funding wise. Because when you look at the history of the state and how they've allocated millions of dollars to schools, and there's no,
They're tightening up their own practices.
and plus they're getting ready to go through a whole audit system at the state because of that. Reason. But that is, they're trying to kind of tighten up a little bit and being a little bit more strict as to what, when, and how.
They're human too.
What is it?
Ms. Hughes.
In the past, there was a little box in the system that to check with your board. Now they've added what date was did the board approve it? So they're being a little more.
That's good.
Yes.
Thank you.
Mr. Medina?
Yeah, how many employees? Is there just one person in each school? And what are their duties? Cause I'm wondering if this is, we just opened a center for the families and all that stuff. So what is the difference between this location as far as the Family Resource Center to what we just had a green opening to?
These centers already exist in the district. This is just a reoccurring grant funding for those particular 3 sites. You know, so it's not anything new. It's been existing, and it's part of the whole, my understanding is there was a huge initiative back when the state was really focusing in on families within schools. And these 3 sites were funded and they can continue to be funded throughout the district. So, you know, what we just opened is a registration center. It's not a parental center, you know, and I think at one point in time, the district had a big grant that was, my understanding, a lot of money, you know, focusing around families. And there was a center that was down near Harding School, where I'm trying to kind of still kind of running my way around, that was funded through a grant that no longer, we no longer have, because I don't think it was, the state thought it was beneficial to continue funding that, something like that, whatever. But yeah, it's a little different, but this is a smaller scale and it's really targeting those families. And I visit the one at Pattaya, you know, last year, I think it was. And so it's just more of a support mechanism thing, but it's more just a continuation of that Family Resource Center grant.
Excuse.
And the people that are in the grant, they're totally dedicated to family services such as workshops, community functions. So you're not sharing with the school.
Mr. Draymond.
And what is their position?
The family,
Are they certified? Are they non-certified?
no, non-certified.
So these are like homeschool coordinators or?
No.
Sarah,
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Any further questions? Do we get a motion?
So I make a motion, refer to the full board of the 25-26 Family Resource Center grant application to the State Department of Education for Cesar Batalla Elementary School, Dunbar School, and Roosevelt School.
Any further questions on it? All in favor, say aye. Passes. Thank you. All right, the next item on the agenda is referral to the full board of the expelled students, the University School Agreement.
and thank you, Madam Chair. I'll lead. I have John, if he's here, you can step up and I'm gonna have you. You know, this is a yearly contract. This contract is for the university school for spots at the university school for our expelled students in the district. And so, can you kind of give the board that we have a few new board members exactly what university schools are? How many seats we're asking the board to approve this year, and how did that work?
This contract has been in place for a number of years. I took over about 3 years ago. Typically, these are for expelled students across the board. A lot of them are special ed. A lot of them are kids from whether they have behavior, violence, safety for themselves, as well as safety for others, threatening weapons. I guess they go through your expulsion process. And then I think it's like a court, and they decide. Could be a 1-month suspension. Typically, the students that the bulk of them are suspended for a year. You purchased 30 slots. This year, you had approximately 50 students come through that expulsion program in some form or fashion. Some come for the whole year, some come for 6 months. It all depends on what your process or how long the expulsion is for. I'll give you an example. Right now, your expulsion program obviously ended in June, but it does carry forward. So they're out of the 30 kids or out of the 50 that have gone through, there are 10 expelled students that will be starting on 28th of August, because their expulsion carries till whatever that year is over next year. Something new that's kind of happened, but not really. There's also been a few, and right now there are two that are coming back. The district has asked me, and some of the special ed directors, it's almost like a diagnostic placement. I'll give you an example. A freshman comes in, a teacher, a social worker, sees signs of bipolar, autistic, something like that. The kid's getting up in the class, he's got ADHD, and he's walking out of the class, can't last the whole class. It's not almost a true suspension, but he gets in trouble, so they call it a suspension, but they say, John, we're gonna put him into the expel program, and then I allow or I accommodate your psychologist, your social worker, because you don't want the kid home. You're not allowed to just leave him home or whatever, and then, so he'll come to the TUS, and then you guys will do an evaluation. Once it's a diagnosis, if there is a diagnosis of a disability, then a PPT will be held for a proper placement. It might be for him to stay there or her. It might be for them to go back to their home school with some sort of supports, or it could be an out-of-district placement to a different facility that can accommodate that child's IEP. But typically, you purchase the 30 slots, you've always gone over it. It's hit 30, it's been at 30, it's been at 29, but because of the way they move in and out, it serviced 50 of your expelled kids last year, and a couple of kids that were diagnosed, or we're going through the diagnostic placement. The cost is the same. There's no difference. I've never added the 3% or anything like that. So, and it's a worthwhile program, I believe, and it works. And then some of these kids end up getting an IEP through here, and the goal is to get them back to their school. But sometimes through that, it gives the district time to evaluate. I mean, if this kid keeps going back and getting expelled, it gives the district an opportunity to search out a proper placement, and rather than the kid go back to school and then disrupting. I mean, at one time, just one incident, there was a sort of a small riot at Bassett. 9 of them came out of there in 1 week, one shot. They had hurt a kid really bad, and then they took them off. And some of them are still here because their expulsion was like sometime in late November. So they have to come back to me and stay till November, and then the district will decide who's going where, when, and how.
Yeah, and through the chair, I think one of the things that, as we start planning for our new special education campus, we could look at options, but currently we have no real options for our expelled kids across the district. I think this conversation came up last year, and John's school is the only real school that will accept our kids that it's local without having to pay the extra transportation and all those things. I had no real concerns, complaints from parents that have their kids there. He manages everything within the school. There's some things that I know on our side that we have to do better in going in and evaluating and checking in and making sure kids are being serviced by, and we're going to do that with all our out-of-district placements, making sure there's a certified teacher, making sure that we can put our eye on the kids and the students at the time. So all these things are things that we have to check ourselves as a district. And that's one of the things that we're in the process of doing moving forward as well. But currently we have very little, very few options to provide service for these kids. And we are required by the state to get those things.
It's a good program. I mean, only because I've been doing this a long time, we also make sure that these kids are getting certain proper services outside the school system. Just because they're expelled, especially when they're special ed, we make sure that they're they're not just there getting through their expulsion. We make the referrals to the Department of Developmental Services. We do a lot with the Department of Children and Families. They come in, we allow them to come in. We provide social worker for the kids to try to get to what issue, why are you getting thrown out of class all the time? So they're not just being held there in a room, and they're educated, they're all certified teachers. Almost all of them have masters in all of their teaching. I provide art for the kids, so it's just not like they're just getting rigid work. And then I also do a lot of talking to them. I want them to be productive citizens in Bridgeport. So I also provide some extracurricular activities at my cost, just so they're not just feeling like they're locked up, you know? So hoping that you'll carry it forward.
This may be a question for Dr. Weaver, Ms. McKinley. So he's providing social work services and teachers, certified teachers, but are they meeting, and any students entering this program with IEPs, is that meeting the compliance standards? So are they being taught based on their IEPs and?
Absolutely. It's my understanding, and John, you can kind of clarify that a little bit, because that's one of the things that we are really trying to kind of monitor as well. Is a teacher is a certified, because if the teacher's not certified in special ed, we have compensatory ed that we're required to provide for the kid to make up that. So can you talk a little bit about that?
Certified special education teachers, matter of fact, she worked here. She's one of the head administrators there, Sarah Bodenheimer. She was here for 25 years. She's been there now ever since she's retired. She's one of the head administrators there. So there's even there's two art teachers. One is special ed, one is not. And all the teachers that address the IEPs are all certified special ed. To the point where a lot of the parents don't, at the end, a lot of them don't want their kids going back to their home schools. But we always encourage it for the kids' social part of it, if they go back to their regular schools. They're done with their exposure.
Motion to refer to the full board of the expelled students to university school agreement.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Mr. Traber does have a question. Go ahead.
Yeah, I, for those of you who weren't around, John's a little off on this time, but it was 2 years ago that it was sort of became sort of lost in the shuffle at university school in 2023 as the superintendency turned over. And the previous director was dying, or he died.
Nicholas Maitland.
Yeah, and it's had a long history in this community of being excellent service to the community. I've been to hearings when I was a teacher where students came out, you know, who said this university school saved me. You know, sitting next to a kid with his wife and partner and his baby. So it's got that long history that John's talking about, doing good service in our community. And in it, you know, as the director, the former director, president, whatever his title was dying and losing it. The organization was in disarray, and we were going through a superintendent turnover search, and you know, the ball got dropped that summer. And so John came in, and you know, the contract got signed by the new superintendent without the board being informed and policy being followed. So it became a hot potato. And so in the next summer, you know, it was still a hot potato. And so we looked at it, you know, we fought and argued about it. But when on close inspection of it being a hot potato, we determined both sides that it was a good hot potato and was doing good work. And the numbers added up. You know, this was a worthwhile program to support. So I want to just put that back on the record for Maritza primarily, because I think she's really the only one who wasn't here at that point. We really, you know, both sides agreed. You know, we who did not support the superintendent were arguing about whether this was a good investment of use of our money. And when we looked at it closely with the numbers, we all agreed this was a good use of our money. So,
And through the chair, I think to kind of put everybody at ease, I think it's important that everyone knows the state of Connecticut is really looking at all programs that service kids, be it special ed, regular ed, expelled, whatever. So there's going to be a whole lot of brand new criteria that's going to come forth to make sure that, again, kids are being served by certified teachers, even when they're outside of the district. To make sure that when boards are paying for services, they're going to get the services that we feel our kids need and pay the same amount of money and not all these high rated, costs and things. So that's coming as well.
well, and I always looked at the program as there were sort of two parts to the program. There was the program that dealt with the problem kids and the program that dealt with the high need kid. And those two did, like Venn diagram, they overlapped, but they really had two components. And so,
And it's seriously cost effective based on if you look across and see. I also own other schools. This is a program that's been in place. I remember fighting the battle with you.
yeah, we
Looked at the, I'm talking years ago. But Dallas,
Yeah.
Dallas tried to kill it. We must have had 150 parents coming out.
that's right.
Yeah, oh yeah. I mean, I'm a graduate.
That's right.
I graduated from the university school. Nick was, I used to fight. And Dallas, Nick Mako had me there, schooled me, and then years later, the other four insurance, I had the accident, whatever. I started programs for mobility impaired kids, and it was Nick that taught me everything about how to work with the kids and special needs kids. And I was friends with Nick up until the day he died. And it was families that came to me and said, John, can you step in and not let this program go away? It's graduated a lot of kids and a lot of productive people have come out of that university. And that's why I do the extra things to show these kids that you can be successful, even in Bridgeport. So.
Yeah, Mr. Golliver, for question.
Don't get change back.
Yes, thank you. It's on the card. Sorry. Sorry. Sorry.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, sorry about that. I'm in the car.
You order
my
us
question
something?
is- Sorry about that. My question is, you mentioned sometimes they go there for, just for like a temporary placement to get their, IEPs and such. About what percentage is referred out to out of district schools that are in such a situation?
You're talking about from the district side, or you're talking about through
On
the
district
university
side,
school?
specifically to the university school. How many of the students sent there can't be serviced and have to be referred out of district?
Well, can I?
Yeah, go ahead.
It's typically a kid that is was gonna get expelled. But the district seems to think he was being expelled maybe because of a disability that they're trying to recognize rather than expel him, or even if he got thrown out of the school because he keeps throwing things or threatening the teacher, that it's not him being violent, that it's a manifestation of some kind of behavior, or maybe a parent can't afford the medication and that happens. So rather than have that kid home, he comes to the school, he's still learning and still doing it. And then the district sends their certified social workers or psychologists to evaluate the kid. And that might be just a matter of a couple of weeks, and then the kid is either placed or gone back to school with some kind of supports. But it's very few, like right now, there's only 2, and I think there were only 4 total last year.
Ms. McKinley, you want to speak to?
Yes.
So, we had, as far as I know, there were no students that were sent out of district, in lieu of going to TUS, nor any students with special education services who were sent from TUS to out of district placement last year. So when a student is expelled, it is for an expellable disciplinary offense. And for any student who has, an IEP or a Section 504 plan, then there is a PPT meeting that's held before that expulsion take place. And so part of that is ensuring that we develop a plan that can be implemented in when they are expelled, and where, whether it's at TUS, that whatever plan that they go with, that it can be implemented at TUS.
That's correct.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right, so there's motion on the floor in a second. Any further questions? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, John. God bless.
Thank you.
Nice seeing you.
Next item on the agenda is referral to the full board. Subcontractor service agreement for Bridgeport Prospers. Bridgeport Board of Education.
This is a grant that we received. It's a one-time grant that was given from the Connecticut Office of Early Childhood in July of 2025. The department started a program called Early Start. It's a consolidation of school readiness, child daycare, and Head Start. And part of this grant is a $60,000 grant. We keep 30 of the 60, but then we also sub-award Bridgeport Prospers. Bridgeport, we handle the monitoring, the paperwork filing, and Bridgeport Prospers handles all the community engagement. This is the approval of that sub-award to Bridgeport Prospers. The state of Connecticut matched Bridgeport Prospers to Bridgeport Public School and partnered us up together for it. It's basically a reimbursement for the administrative stabilization of getting the Early Start program going.
Are there any questions with you? Any of them? Mr. Chamber?
Yeah, this was another one that was sort of like, it's almost over.
It just came out in July of 2025.
It starts in June. It reads as June through September.
Sub-award contract part?
Yeah, let's see what I read.
June 30th through September 30th. The term of engagement.
So we're now at the end of August. So it's almost over. I
Well, it's dated August
Yeah,
15th.
they did only 15.
saw that the agreement was dated, but the actual contract is from June to the end of September. So again, that's why I made the comment earlier that we seem to have a number of things that we're looking at tonight that are sort of. So this was one of the ones I was referring to, so I was curious as to why.
It looks like 6 weeks.
Leaving
And so
resulted in Nadir and Clark leaving.
that's the first question, and just pointing out, this was another one that, so I don't see anything nefarious here, I'm just.
I think it's like halfway in between those. There's still
Yes,
6.
no, I
7
guess
weeks left.
it's just halfway in between, it's not before we started, it's like, we're in the middle of it.
Hey, Dr.
Working on that.
Through the chair, Dr. Whitley, can you address that issue? Learning a new role to take over the whole grants department was a transition for your team. So can you talk a little bit about making sure moving forward that grants are going to be presented to the board in a timely manner, more so than in between the two timeframes, that kind of thing. So
I'm not even looking for an answer because you just hit the nail on the head. That it's an issue that as we transition, we've already talked about, we're going to address these things and do better at these things. So
Absolutely.
I'm really not looking to do other than to point out that this is another one of these things that you see and you go, oh. Huh. And so we want to instead be looking at these at the end of the last school year, before the summer starts, because the grant started at the end of the school year.
And I think you make a good point, because sometimes the delay is not at fault of the district, it's the state or whoever gets.
As we heard before.
Yes, and so we just need to kind of preference that when we bring things to the board for consideration with the real quick footnote saying, hey, due to the fact that it was delayed getting to us, then so again, I think that's only fair to everybody that's receiving.
Like I said, I suspect nothing nefarious here. I'm
Yeah.
just pointing out,
Good
this
point.
isn't just another one of those things that we sort
Good
of,
point.
why are we dealing with this halfway through the 90-day period? Whatever.
Yeah, that's true.
July, August, September, almost then. And then, I didn't quite understand what they do. So there seemed to be more pages of legalese, boilerplate legalese covering your butts than there did to be actual language about what they're doing. And so if you could just give me some idea of what they're doing. It's
Bridgeport
with this,
Prosperous.
yeah,
They're from going through this. The council, it's because they're combining community groups of parents, educators, health workers, and they're creating these local area childhood councils, these LECCs. And this payment, the sub-award, is for getting Bridgeport Prosperous to do that legwork for us and putting the community.
so
Council.
again, it's local area councils. What are these local area councils? Because they're halfway through it and I've not heard a thing about them.
Well, they.
Yes, and
So
if I can add briefly, so this grant is specifically for the transition planning. So it's really an interesting situation because the grant is giving Bridgeport Public Schools and Bridgeport Prospers money to figure out how are we going to do this. And so the money is set aside for them to meet with a select group of stakeholders who I don't know off the top of my head because they are planning the meeting. But I believe the first one is scheduled for the third week of September.
Yes,
An
September
invitation.
20th, right around there. I think it
Yes,
was.
around that.
Yeah.
Exactly. That sounds accurate. So it's really weird because it's like they don't know what they're going to do because this grant is to plan what they're going to do.
Who's the they? The three people I read in the grant?
So they are the three people in the grant are from Bridgeport Prospers, yes.
Right.
And they are working with what was the Bridgeport School Readiness Team, who are now known as Early Start CT. And those two people are Camille Harris and Lee Helmrich, who are housed within the grants office. But their titles are School Readiness Coordinators. Now they'll be Early Start CT coordinators.
I read it and I thought, wow, I don't really understand what this is. So would this be appropriately something that we could have a presentation in my committee about?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay,
So because you remember the state,
that means either I do it next week or I do it after they have their first meeting, which would be better.
wow,
I'm asking the three of you.
We can, well, why don't we contact them and see
which would be best.
for them?
Okay,
Because it's, the state has a huge focus on early childhood.
Yep.
And so they're just trying to do the business different. And this is one of those startup kind of groups in communities in order to get that work. Probably what's going to end up happening, they're going to pull these groups to a larger group in order to kind of make recommendations to how we do it based on the needs of our families, which are different than some other counties around us as well. So, again, but I think it's very important for you to, and one of the things I'm also going to ask of Dr. Whitley and Mrs. Hughes is when we have an agenda item that there is a director in charge of, that director needs to be at this meeting. Because it's important that the clarity is given. If they're running their departments, they should be here in conversation.
Well, that's the problem. That's another note of that, another discussion we need to have, because right now it's in the grants department. It should be, I think, in early childhood.
Okay.
Yes.
That's a different.
We all agree on that.
I'm like just losing, just like
Yeah.
with Lynn, she should have been in the meeting. I have to call her, say, get online, I need you, kind of thing. But just so we know, we'll just tie that directly to the agenda item. It's a really simple thing to do. I think that's important. Because I want you guys to have the clarity about everything, every question you have, you can.
Yeah.
No, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
So
We'll follow up
I'll
on you.
leave it at that for now.
Okay.
Thank you. Sure.
Any further questions? Their motion?
Motion to refer to the full board of the subcontractor services agreement, Bridgeport Prospers / Bridgeport Board of Education.
Second.
Been moved and seconded by, moved by Mr. Meredith, seconded by Mr. Medina. Any further discussion to be on here? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That goes forward. Next item, thank you. On the agenda is referral to the full board, the draft budget planning document.
Okay, before you guys, thank you, Madam Chair. Nestor and I were directed by the Commissioner of Education to develop budget planning module, a manual for the Board of Ed. And it is actually to be approved by the board by September 1. I had to provide the state with a draft of the plan before it was approved by the board. And so I'm in we've been the last couple of weeks trying to get this together and trying to figure out how to present it and getting it together on top of everything else we've been trying to do to get the funding and things we need for the district. So this is going to be a very helpful tool for the board, I think, to be able to have timelines and dates and clarity for, budget codes and things like that. So I think it's important that, as you, hopefully you have a chance to work through the manual. It's roles and responsibility of the people who develop budgets, be it the principal, the directors, and other leaders. So you'll see the roles and responsibilities of that on page 1.
President, for the board members, we're still working on kinks of board book. This actually is not on board book, it's in our portal. It is, we do have it, the document.
Okay.
So you're looking at board book right now? It's
Yeah,
not.
there is a very thick manual that we uploaded to the portal for you.
In the board.
Yeah,
It's,
I have no idea how to use Word book.
yeah, and so
My training session.
again, I just kind of want to make sure now, the state has this and they're reviewing it and they're going to critique it and get it back to me hopefully before Friday when I upload the revised or whatever official copy that they put their blessings on. And when you look at the annual budget timeline, the budget assumptions, charts of accounts, guidelines for budget workshop presentations, all these things are the things you're going to see that was kind of pulled out of the audit. The oversight, transparencies, but all of this has been, accumulated into one kind of a manual thing. Again, this is a work in progress. I know it's a lot to kind of, synthesize over just a couple of days, but one of the things that's important that directive that was given to me was that we got to have a place where individuals can go study it and understand when things are happening, when committee meetings are going to happen, when the principal is going to be involved with the budget development processes. So all of that is in here, and we try to be as thorough as we possibly could, right, Nestor? And a lot of it correlates with the
The city timeline.
city timeline as well.
Under charter.
Now, we're not we're somewhat unique to some other districts around, because your smaller districts may not do that connection with the municipalities like we do. We're very, very guided by the timelines of the city. We have to do things a little bit different at a large urban school district. So everything in here are estimated dates of when we should be doing things. So come November, the board should be saying, okay, where are we? What should we be doing? So by November 15th, you should say, or there should be conversations at the finance committee meeting. Okay, you're meeting with principals. What they're looking at their needs, and they want. So this is just a help for you guys to help us to make sure that we're on point. I think it's a good thing, and I'm looking forward to being critiqued, like we've always been from the state, on how this is going to integrate with the processes and procedures that we're going to be changing due to the fact that we got the 34 recommendations on the audit. I'll just let you guys, there's glossary words of things that you may not know, giving you like the object codes that are within the budget code. When you dive deep into Nestor's spreadsheets, you'll say, okay, what does that mean? 550, that's painting, and there's binding. Printing and binding. 580 is travel. So you'll understand how to connect the dots to the numbers as well. In addition to that, there is the Munis process. We're going to be expanding Munis as a use of holding us accountable for doing things the right way. Expenditures are going to be line item within Munis. We should be able to give the board a view access only of Munis. It's a lot of, but it's all about accountability, right? So we're going to set everybody up to make sure that everybody's clear about how we do our finances. And, and if you need more information, you need more training, we can get that for you as well. But this is what this is. First round of that, we didn't know what we were doing. We just brought it all together. So hopefully for you guys to ask questions and moving into the full board.
No,
Oh,
she's the chair.
but I was gonna say, I was gonna ask you.
She was the committee first.
Gotcha. You just said this, should be, once it's approved by the full board, we have until September 1st to approve it, just so according to our
Yes.
action plan. So hopefully the state does get it back to us before next week's meeting. And then this will be distributed once it's approved to the department heads and all that. Okay. Committee members first, do you have anything? Mr. Traver?
I loved it. I read through it and was like, oh, this is great. There's
a lot of work.
I applaud you. There's obviously one element that it changes, which is the state biennial budget years. And I was gonna, not having it on paper in front of me, I don't know how to make comments on my laptop, so when I get I was hoping to get a paper copy tonight. If you'd not appreciate that, because
I'm the same way, I gotta have paper.
You can annotate on board book when you get that training.
When I get that training, I think you were gonna tell me that. I actually have a feeling I could already annotate on this thing. But, there's a couple things I remember is one of your definitions of, but I didn't go through them thoroughly, but in skimming them quickly, you had a definition of certified employees that included subs. But then you had a definition of subs, two points later. So it doesn't make sense to me that you have certifieds that include subs and subs.
Yes.
And question. So that
remember,
confused me.
But remember, you can have a sub that is certified, but that's being paid as a sub and is certified. So you could have that combination.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah.
So
If I'm a retired
that
teacher,
little one just troubled me, and I would have put a question mark there. But on the bigger scale, you were too late on your state work. You had March I think in March and April or February, I think it was March and April for your state work. And I thought it'd be.
If you can kind
Oh,
of,
here,
if you can kind
let me give it back to him.
if you can kind of, once you get it, pencil things in
Yeah.
for me. And
I just thought you started lobbying too late.
it's,
The state hearings will begin in February and March. And so you'll want to do lobbying, particularly in budget year. But even before then, you'll want to keep an eye out on the committees and what they're doing
Okay.
earlier. You know, because so just when, you know, in that you sort of state work, it was after you did your municipal budget, that page where you went back to the state timeline.
Like April, May.
Is that what it says?
I think that's what you're talking about.
Yeah. It's the last page of your timetable.
So, yeah, April, May, last page.
After you get done with a really nice municipal process and everything
okay,
else,
savings.
So that might be.
you add a page where you're sort of talking about the state, when you're doing the state, and you sort of you start too late in the state.
Okay.
You want to start earlier up the state.
I think if you just kind of, I think we
Yeah.
could,
Well, we
we
get
could
there.
easily revise and
Yeah.
add that piece
Yeah,
into it.
just you want to start that earlier, because they do committee meetings and the hearings and.
See, I wouldn't give you that information.
Yeah, you want to start that earlier.
The state and lines. So it's just more of the projection piece, but yeah, sooner than.
Yeah, because the governor gives his budget in January. And after he presents his budget, they start playing around in the committees. And putting together their budget.
His income should be sooner than April.
No, what we're saying is in April, by April and May, that's when we know the fiscal decisions, the state
Okay,
and federal
That is correct.
already made.
But we want to do work before that, right?
We're doing what we're before.
Okay,
But what we're saying here,
by then you should know.
by then we will know what the outcome of the work we did earlier.
Yeah, but they don't decide till June.
That's why you said May and June.
Yeah, but you want to start earlier.
No, we do the prep work, we do the groundwork, but when we know the decision of how good we did.
Yeah.
Now you're on.
Well,
Yeah. Again, that's what I'm.
but anyway, it's just, you know, those the only two things I can remember from having read through it, but I began by applauding the work. I love it. It is what we argued about, remember, 2 years ago, last year, about when a budget should be out, when it should be started, and how, and now everybody will have it on paper. And everybody will know what it should be, and it'll be there for all to see and all to know.
Yep,
And
absolutely.
having that in black and white is just phenomenal.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Mr. Sokolovic,
Yes, thank you. I got a couple of things. When I looked earlier today, it wasn't in a portal. This document's about 40 pages long. Came in the portal 6 hours ago. There's been no real time to digest it. At first glance, it looks like it definitely needs a little more board fingerprints on it, because what the state said is that the Board of Education needs to have more oversight. So basically, this document that was prepared without any board input whatsoever is under the gun to be approved by September 1st. Now, I would like you to ask the state to give the board some time to peruse this document, put our own stamp on it, and how we as a board should move forward in our oversight role for the superintendent and the budget process. Because at first glance, I haven't had a time to do a deep dive to ask even the pertinent questions.
Mr. Sokolovic, the only thing is for this specific item, the action item was that the superintendent will present to the board a budget binder, not that the board.
I'm correct, and I'm asking
So-
questions and
so-
discussing the budget binder. So
Yeah,
it's
that's-
not
so-
going to the full board yet?
No. It's gonna go, let me finish. So the superintendent and the CFO has prepared in collaboration with Ed Aaron from the state, the budget binder that they're presenting to the full board. So it comes before the committee right now to get our first looks at it. Monday, we'll, as a full board, take a look at it. There, right now, whatever input, so, Traver just gave us some input. Hopefully we can add that in as well. The state still has to look at this, to make sure it's approved by them. And then we'll continue looking at it. There's items on here that, it shows us when we're gonna go to committee for certain items. So. But this is developed by the superintendent for us, and then we're gonna be going over it. So our responsibility as a board member is by November, has the principals done that in our committee meeting? We'll talk about, has the principals submitted their capital budget plans? So that's how we oversee.
Okay, understood. Now, this is going to be the guiding document for the Board of Education going forward. The Board of Education, who has historically just been called out in an audit for not having oversight of the superintendent. And this is basically guiding our oversight for the next X amount of years. The community forums, and we're under the gun for September 1st, as it's some sort of deadline that we got to have this in and approved by. The state might have to understand that if they want us to do this right, we're going to need to take a little more time to look at it, because you're using the words Board of Education Community Forum, but it's superintendent led. That's not a Board of Education forum. That's a superintendent forum. There's two different animals. The Board of Education should be doing more interfacing with the public, as we did in the past. We've done forums in the past led by the Board of Education, not just this board members standing there and playing a secondary role as into budget. I mean, this seems a bit too hasty. It needs more board input in it, and I don't think we should be moving so quickly. The state's gonna have to understand it's not gonna be fixed overnight. The state will be gone in a year or two. Some of us will be gone in 5 or 10 years, but this budget document is going to live on and guide the next superintendents and the next boards that live with it without the state being here. So I think we should take the time to do it right and not be under the gun for a 30-day lesson and be in fear of what the state's going to do if we don't do it right, because they said we do have to have oversight. That was their main thing. The board does not have oversight. The board is not involved enough in the budget process. Now, this guiding budget document, again, we still have not had any input in this. And just got the information 6 hours ago, which once again is another problem with timeliness of documents. And then that's all I got for now, and I'll read through it and probably have more questions for the regular board meeting. Thank you.
Good Chair.
Yeah.
I just want to emphasize, I got my hand slapped once already by the state, Mr. Sokolovec, and I am going to meet this deadline. And whatever the board decides to do, I will have it documented that I presented it to the board before, before September 1. That was my directive. Okay, so all I can do.
Absolutely. Yeah, but no disrespect though. You do not work for the state. You work for the 9-member Board of Education until they take it away from us.
Anyone else?
My question is around the September 1st deadline. Is the deadline just to present this budget plan to the board? It is not to post it anywhere as a final version, correct?
It's an approval from the board.
It said the board will conduct an initial review of the budget binder developed by the superintendent. That's all it says.
Okay.
September 1st?
Yeah, I said it's an initial review. It's not telling you to approve anything, guys. I'm just telling you what she directed me to do. And I'm gonna meet that deadline regardless of if it was a directive, and I just have to follow that. It says the initial review,
If I may,
not approval.
can I ask just a short question?
Mhm.
Is this you're gonna present to the board, Shaq? Read that again, please.
It says, the superintendent would prepare a comprehensive budget binder to ensure fiscal responsibility for the next 5 years. By whatever, September 1, the board will conduct an initial review of the budget binder developed by the superintendent.
Is this the budget?
Yes, yes.
Okay, so this is.
Additionally, initial review.
We done like binders, big thing with 3 rings. So this is the content of the thing. Okay, that's want to be clear on the terms we're using.
We're just being the requirement.
Oh, thank you.
Mr. Brennan.
one thing I'm gonna say for the record, for 9 months, you do a lot, and I know you got this. It's the only thing I can say. So far, we're going, there, we're doing things what the state want. I know you guys give it extra, they know what we're doing. And we follow everything what they're doing, and I know they listen to us. So for 9 months, everything you do, you got this. I trust you. Thank you. Thank you.
Mr. Faber?
So if we have a discussion about this on Monday, you have done what you can.
Absolutely. So,
Thank you.
that's it. Absolutely.
Mr. Sokolovich?
Yeah, got it. I want to apologize. I think I misunderstood that we wanted a gun for approval and so there's no approval happening on Monday. So we still got time to revise this document and put our fingerprints on it.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate that.
Motion to refer to the full board of the draft budget planning document.
Second.
Moved by Ms. Estromero Jimenez, seconded by Mr. Medina. Any further debate on it?
I would love feedback, so feel free to give us the feedback. This is the first, we just spent a whole lot of time getting this together. And we may have missed something, there may be some dates wrong in there, whatever. So just give us some feedback.
We'll be doing it in full board. Yeah, we will. Don't worry about that. We got you. I love it. It's good.
All right, it's been moved, seconded, seeing no further questions, all in favor, say aye.
You forgot.
That's all. All right.
Oh, no, you have two other votes today.
Oh, yeah. Anyways, any further, we're adjourning.
Well, Madam Chair,
Yes.
just, for the board, because of the financial constraint in the city, what we're doing or what I'm asking the grants office to do is basically look, Google, whatever, find money, find grants out there. But I'm trying to say, might delve into a grant and present it to me. If it makes financial sense, I will not turn down money that I can tell everyone. If we're gonna meet the deadline, I will tell them to apply. Then we'll bring it before the committee and the board. Tell them what the grant is all about. We met the deadline. If you approve it, fine. If you don't approve it, we don't have to accept the grant. We have nothing to do. Just to be, that's the way, that's what I'm used to, and that's the way it was done in this city. Never turn down the grant. When I thought people presented to me, I look at the logistics of it, I say, apply. Once they apply, we go before the council, say, this is what this grant is all about. This is how much is at stake. Apply for it. If a match is required, some of them could be 10% match and the grant is for $1 million. You're getting, you're getting $900,000 free. Well, the city can finish. But you get $900,000 free up. Well, I don't want to use the word free money. Yeah, so we foresee, as the council generally approves the grant. That's important. So.
Amen. Motion to adjourn?
Adjourning at 7:59. Oh. Hold on. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
We're adjourning at 7:59.
Aye.
So it's